Welcome to another episode of Crawfordsville Connection, the City of Crawfordsville's weekly podcast that comes out every Monday morning. I'm your host, Sarah Summer, and I'm joined in the studio every week with Mayor Todd Martin to keep our community up to date on current events, city workings, and to hear from community members on a variety of topics. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Welcome back to another episode of Crawfordsville Connection. I'm your host, Sarah Summer, and today I'm joined in the studio by Mayor Todd Barton.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Good to be here.
Good. And with us today, we have Brandy Allen and Fawn Johnson, and we are going to talk a little bit about Parks and Rec, but more specifically, we're going to dive into the newly renovated Lincoln Park and our brand new Brickyard Nature Park. And we have no announcements.
No, that's kind of unusual, isn't it?
Yes.
We feel like we just skim over these parks and kind of talk about, the progress and when they'll open, but let's dive into them a little deeper.
Yeah, it's, brand new to us is the Brickyard Nature Park, and then Lincoln Park is a well-loved park that has been given some love recently and newly renovated. And we talk about them, like you said, just briefly in our general updates, but there's been a lot going on there. And I saw, a lot of shares, especially about the Brickyard Nature Park. People are excited about this. So I thought, good opportunity for us to give some more information. So we'll just start. Brandy and Fawn, if you both want to give just a quick brief introduction of who you are and how you've been involved with these two projects.
Sure. Brandy Allen, I'm the Director of Operations and Community Development. And I've been with the city for a while, but the last couple of years I've been working as the Director of Operations just to kind of help with a lot of the projects that we have where there's a lot of things going on. So just a little bit of project management and keeping things on track. So even though these are Fawn's parks and will be hers now to take care of, I was just helping kind of get things through the process, get the funding in order, and be able to take care of all the reporting and all of those things that are required along with that process. So that's my involvement.
Great.
I'm Fawn Johnson. I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. So I oversee all of our city parks and other facilities, as well as a lot of programming that we do.
Awesome. For people who don't know, Fawn, if you want to share a little general overview of what the Parks and Rec Department does, what your area of oversight is. I know we have a ton of parks, and now that we have some new signage, it might be a little bit more apparent to people what all the Parks Department oversees. But if you want to just kind of give a brief rundown of your operations.
Okay, well, I'll just kind of give a list of our parks and facilities.
Perfect.
Milligan Park's our largest city park. Most people are familiar with that. We have some smaller neighborhood parks, Kathy Steele Park, Francis Wooden Park, Nibble Park, Elston Softball Complex, Bark Avenue Dog Park, one of our newer parks, the old Coke plant. People go there and play soccer, football. There's creek access at that location as well. We manage the Sugar Creek Trail and the trailheads in the Crawfordsville Community Center. So
awesome.
A lot going on in our department.
Yes. And
I did a presentation a couple of years ago. I was making a PowerPoint about parks. It was 2 pages.
Yeah.
Just listing
it just
the
kept
parks.
going.
Yeah. If there's another city our size with more parks, I want to know where it's at.
We're ready for battle.
Yeah. I mean, there may be, but I think it's going to be hard to find.
We like that competitiveness, right?
Oh, of course. You know us.
We like to be competitive.
We've had a lot of growth over the last 10, 15 years in our department.
A lot of those parks that you mentioned are new in the past 15 years with, the skate park, Splash Pad, Kathy Steele, the dog park, our trail connector between Skank and Big Four, Pike Place.
Michael.
Yeah, Philip Michael and the Brickyard Nature Park. I mean, we have, and there's more to come.
Yeah. There is more to come.
We'll talk a little bit about that. But do you want to talk about some of that growth and how you've seen the Parks Department, evolve?
Sure. You mentioned the skate park. So that was something that happened in an existing park that's located in Milligan Park. But that was really out of interest from the public and people that wanted to offer skateboarders who usually are operating in places where people don't want them to be, a place where they could go and, enjoy their sport and not be run out of, this sidewalk or this ledge or this railing. So it provided a new opportunity for people within our community. The splash pad was a great addition. We lost our old baby pool. So some of the elements for younger children at our pool there weren't a lot of options. So the
Mhm.
splash pad kind of filled that void. Another nice thing about the splash pad is it extends our season. Summer has become pretty short, about 10 weeks long.
Yeah.
And with the splash pad, we could extend that a little bit on the front and the back end, extending the swimming season just a little bit. Kathy Steele's an interesting story. We acquired Kathleen Steele Park from Crawfordsville Community School Corporation. That was the playground for what was the Mills School, which is
Mhm.
now the home of the Youth Service Bureau. But that was basically given to the city to operate as a park. And I think we acquired that in 2013, did a modest renovation in 14, and then did an extensive renovation more recently at that location. The dog park was a partnership as well. That was something else that the community kept telling us that they wanted. And we didn't really have a great location. And we were able to partner with the AWL. They had a lot of space out at their location that they really didn't utilize. So that was really worked out really well. There was existing parking there. That's right where that trail connector came in.
Yeah.
And those projects actually kind of completed at about the same time. So that worked out really nicely. And a lot of people have been able to go out and enjoy a new type of park with the addition of the dog park. Pike Place is a big change in our community. It changed kind of the look of the downtown for sure.
Yeah.
And I just checked, we had 26 events at Pike Place this year, excluding the farmers market. So many
Wow.
people use that space. People now look to that space, what's going on at Pike Place this weekend, and more community organizations know that they can utilize that space and put on a great community event at that location.
Mhm.
Philip Michael was another addition. That's kind of a plan for the future there. It's a park. We were calling it a trailhead park. Eventually, that is our intent, that will be a trailhead and a place where people can access the Sugar Creek Trail. But it's part of a future plan. And then the Brickyard. That's really exciting. I think we're still a little abuzz from that. We've had great response from the community about that location. We had our ribbon cutting yesterday, and we had a wonderful turnout from the community. And I think you guys have all probably heard, we've just had amazing feedback from people that offers really a bunch of natural beauty. It's over 100-acre property. It has a paved ADA accessible trail. It's about a half mile long, goes out to a overlook over a pond. That pond was where they mined the shale to create the bricks that were created at a factory on that location. So that's why it's named the Brickyard. There's also 1.2 miles of crushed stone walking trails and 2.2 miles of dirt mountain biking trails. And this has kind of been a hidden gem in Crawfordsville. Some people have been aware of it. People have been finding their way out there even before the ribbon cutting. But it's a really great asset for our community, and we're happy to open it up to the public now.
That's awesome. Yeah, when I looked it up the other day, just to post about it, on the city's page, somebody already wrote a Google review about it, actually, and they posted pictures. So I thought that was kind of cool. Somebody had been out there, took some pictures, and posted it on Google. So it's on there. I didn't recognize the photos, and I
If
thought,
it's on Google, it's legit.
Yeah, it's real. It's real. And at the time, there was not an address added on there, but since we have added an address, I went in and suggested that to Google. So now if people search it, they will get an accurate address.
And what we knew there was people had been using that space for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, they just went back there and did their thing, especially the mountain bike people. They had kind of cleared their little paths and were using it. And so it just made sense to turn it into a park.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what we've been saying with citizen-driven processes. We heard that through a lot of these, this is what the public wants. This is what our community is wanting. And that's why we're making these things happen.
Yeah, and the city already owned that. I mean, we had bought that, a number of years ago under Mayor John Zoomer. And, the original thought was that we would turn that into development, and extend the Commerce Park. But that was really cost prohibitive if you think about trying to tear down all the trees, clear the woods, and fill in the pond. And then when you do that, you have to create another water wetland somewhere else, right? So it becomes very expensive very quickly. So this makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
One of the people that was at the ribbon cutting yesterday, I asked how long they'd been coming to the Brickyard. And she said 25 to 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
As a trespasser first.
Yeah.
You know, as officially can be there.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, there's been a ton going on. You know, we've also briefly mentioned in general updates that Milligan Park had been renovated also, and getting some new aspects there with baseball diamonds, parking lot paving, and there's a lot going on for the Parks Department.
There is, and just within Milligan Park, there are so many things that happen. There's a swimming pool, a splash pad, a 22-hole disc golf course, which could be its own podcast probably. There's
It has been.
okay.
They were on recently. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
A baseball field, a softball field. What else do we have going? It's just so many things that happen in that space. So we'd had some pretty extensive renovations of some of our parks and felt like Milligan needed a little bit of love. So it's been recently paved. We made some other upgrades at the ball diamonds. And several years ago, we did a significant upgrade on the restrooms. That's a big game changer there. So we're trying to keep all of these parks looking good and offering a lot to the public in terms of what they
If you've not been to
wanna do.
Milligan in a while, go check it out. And I had somebody tell me the other day, I hadn't been there in a while. It really looks nice. So big difference.
Yeah, and it's a big park. There's a lot to take
There
care of
is.
there.
It is. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll dive in a little bit deeper into Brickyard Nature Park. You know, we talked a little bit about how the city got the land and, you know, that people had been using it. But where did this concept come up, and just what made you all decide, let's do this? Let's turn this into an official park.
I think it was kind of an evolution. You know, we were always working projects with the Commerce Park, and we would look at that, you know, and say, okay, maybe we could fit something in there. And then you try to, you know, play it out in your head. We're going to have to clear the land and fill in the pond and work around the pond or whatever. And it was really not making any sense. And for a while, I started to come up, you know, with this thought, well, maybe we just set that aside and turn it into a park. The complicating factor was that, you know, it was purchased with a bond on the city's behalf. So we kind of had to work through what are we allowed to do under the terms of that bond, which is nearly paid off. So how do we work that out? And it just started to really kind of evolve. And then, you know, the game changer was the READY grant program. And when the first round of READY was announced and we were kind of tasked with coming up with quality of life projects, that was a no-brainer. No-brainer to us and a no-brainer to our region. We were in the 180 region in the metro area at the time, and apparently a no-brainer to the state. So we submitted that project. It got approved very quickly, and about half the funding came from the READY grant
Awesome.
to do that. So could we have done what we did without the READY grant? Maybe eventually, but not this quickly.
Yeah. And the location, we've talked about it. It's in the Commerce Park, and the official address is 759 Concord Road. So if people don't know, it's right out there.
Next to Wellbrook.
Yeah.
If people know where Wellbrook's at, right next to it.
And we have one of our brand new signs out there. So people should find it
Yes,
very
yes.
easily.
They actually found it before it was open because
Yes.
of the signage. So.
They sure
Yes. Yes. Well, we've talked about, it's called Brickyard, and that's not because of the racing Brickyard.
Yeah, when I was making the presentation in Indianapolis for this park, I got some wide eyes when I said we're going to call it the Brickyard Nature Park. And I think the concern was, you know, you're naming this after the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and all those issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's not why it's called the Brickyard, because they actually manufactured bricks on that site. And everybody, you know, who grew up around here has always called it the old Brickyard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's always been called. So that's what we named it.
After the Crawfordsville Shale Brick Company.
Yes. A lot of history there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's actually signage out in a couple of places at the park that talks about the history of that site specifically, but also just the history of brick making. You know, that's not something that probably people are very familiar with
Right.
at this time. And so they can go out there and learn a little bit too.
That's awesome.
And we talk about everybody being thrilled. There's probably a handful of people not happy with us with that park. And there were people who used to mushroom hunt there.
Yeah.
It was kind of their secret area to go
secret's
mushroom
out.
hunt. Now it's a park and everybody will be there. So
Right.
a few people might not be happy on that front.
I think this is the
Yeah.
only project that I've worked on to date that I haven't received one complaint on yet, though. So everybody loves it. I've seen only positive all over Facebook and all the social media, and it's been very well received.
That's awesome. It's a good feeling when we know we got it right, but everyone else is seeing it too.
Well, sometimes it takes a while.
It's
but-
a good use of that natural space in its natural form, just working with what's already there rather than like what you think of as a park today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, obviously everyone is responding really well to this park. What are you expecting the opportunities to be? Where do you see this park going in the future? How do you envision it being used outside of some of the walking trails or, the biking and all of that stuff?
One of the things that I was thinking about was this is going to offer an opportunity, especially the mountain biking, for people that maybe have not been involved in that before. And from all of the mountain bikers that I talk to, they say this is a perfect beginner trail.
That's awesome.
So something that I thought about was just maybe like a mountain biking 101 where people could come and learn maybe some of the basics, things that they would want to know before they embark on mountain biking. And then I think some kind of nature programs. I've already been approached by someone from the library about some birding things and kind of connecting with what's going to be out at that location that you may not find at other places around town. So I think there's a lot of potential for some programming out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I've been out there with my family, you're seeing deer popping up out and running the trail in front of you and just all kinds of different wildlife that you don't typically see in the middle of the city.
Right.
So it's a cool opportunity for those that don't live in the country to experience a little bit of that wildlife and nature.
There's a couple areas that were farmed before, and so that's not going to be farmed anymore. So I know we've been in talks with the Soil and Water Conservation District about planting native like prairie grasses and stuff, which will increase the wildlife even further. So that still has to be done. That's still a work in progress. And then there'll be some work done there to remove the invasive species. There's some work that needs to happen in the park on that front too. And those groups they're eager to get in there and do those things. So those will happen.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a lifetime of work to be done getting rid of the honeysuckle out there.
Yes. Yeah.
I've picked honeysuckle before. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
If you want to pick some more.
I
we
do
know there's
not.
100 acres.
I do not. That was a community service project in my previous job that we did.
Okay.
And it seemed like the work would be endless.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think that Brickyard Nature Park, like we said, it has just been positive feedback, and I'm excited to see where it brings people in the future, how it continues to grow, how the impact continues to, oversee our community and what it will do for us. And we'll move into Lincoln Park. That is another well-loved park. People love Lincoln Park, and, they loved it for basketball previously, but there is now pickleball courts right at Lincoln Park. And I know that we've got some pickleball lovers here, and that's what people have been very excited about.
I don't know if some's the right word.
Yeah.
Right. Many.
Quite a few.
Many.
Is this the
Apparently.
most asked about project that we've had yet?
It's been on everything that I've seen.
Yeah.
When are the pickleball courts opening?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
well,
kind of beat out Fazoli's in the grocery store.
Yeah.
I don't know.
we'll run some statistics
Yeah.
and the social media groups and see what we can see.
If we could open a big grocery store on the east side with the Fazoli's and pickleball courts.
Oh, home run.
Home run. Right?
Yeah.
Grand slam, probably.
Well,
yeah.
I think everybody would be happy then, right?
I don't know. We'll try.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, this park, what came up that made you all decide it's time to renovate this park? This park needs to have some improvements done.
Yeah, again, I think for me, it was kind of an evolution. I mean, you would drive by there, there were people there using it, and it was really focused on young adults, teens, it's highly visible location. And after we had worked on, Kathy Steele Park and Francis Wooden Park, in my mind, that was kind of the next place to go.
Yeah.
Is to do something with that location. And I always felt like that park was kind of just an afterthought. It was just kind of happened, and they just, put in some
Stuck some
pavement,
goals
Just
and
a couple
there.
basketball
stuck
goals.
some things there, and there it was, and the area right there had changed a little bit too. How traffic flows through there has all kind of changed. So that was for me a driving thing. And the other thing I felt, pretty strongly about was, we had that park, and other than the name, there was really no acknowledgement of the history of that site.
Right.
And so I had a conversation with a lot of different people about that. And that's something that I really felt we needed to address. We had addressed that with Francis Wooden Park. We addressed the history of the site. Lincoln Park, other than the name, there was nothing there really to kind of acknowledge that history. So that's important to us. We have, an incredible history in this community, and we need to showcase that and make sure the next generations understand that history.
Yeah. For people who don't know, what is the Lincoln School?
So Lincoln Park is the former site of the Lincoln School for Colored Children. That was a segregated school. And once that was abandoned as a school, it became a rec center and then finally became Lincoln Park. So I think in the mid-'80s, it transitioned to be Lincoln Park. And like Mayor Barton said, it's really just the name. A lot of people don't know about the school. And one of the big features that will be in place at that location is a large sign with a rendering of the school that was once there and a lot of information about some of the school's really prominent students and what they did after their time at the Lincoln School. So that's a really cool feature. Unfortunately, it won't be in place at a ribbon cutting, but it will soon be in place and offer a lot of information for anyone that's curious about the Lincoln School.
Yeah.
We will have a rendering of the sign there just so everyone will be able to see what it will look like, but a little bit of delay on our
Students
fabrication.
from that site went on to do all kinds of things.
And we pretty
just
amazing when you read about them.
Tore down the building, and it's like the history is gone. And, that didn't make sense. I did a little reading here. I know Brandy did some research too, but it looks like they closed that school in 1947. And then the city bought it or ended up with the property in 52 and then did their rec center shortly thereafter. So somewhere in that range. And then 81 is when the building was torn down.
Wow.
And then probably mid-'80s became the park that we knew until recently. Yeah. So
Mayor Barton mentioned that it looked kind of like an afterthought, the park before the renovation. And just something that I've experienced in my time with the Parks Department is you can definitely tell a space where someone put some equipment and a space that's been professionally designed.
Right.
And the contrast is significant.
And we spent a lot of money on design, right? I mean, we hire the engineering firms, landscape architects, all those people to design parks. And sometimes you think, oh, that's a lot of money, but it pays off in the end. Because if you look at our parks that have been designed now, there's a lot of thought put into how that's done. Right. It's not just stick something here and stick something there. One feature that's in this park that I don't know that people are really going to pick up on, but there's a kind of a seating wall in the park. It's one thing we always heard from anybody who had attended that school. There was a wall. They called it the wall, but it was really kind of just a concrete place between the sidewalk and the street that everybody loved to sit and hang out and just talk and stuff. And, having been a firefighter, we'd love to sit on the bench in front of the fire station. So I could kind of relate to that, and we wanted that incorporated back in this project. And it's not in the same location, but there is a wall there, kind of a seating wall where people can sit.
That's really neat. What other features are in this park? We talked about basketball. That will still be basketball home.
Yeah, and there's actually an expansion and a little bit of basketball. There used to be two kind of half courts with goals on each end, and then one of those has been extended. So now there's a full court, one full court, one half court. Obviously, the 3 pickleball courts. There's some permanent cornhole, a wonderful shade structure, drinking fountain, and then just a little bit of green space and seating, and it's way more welcoming than what we started with for sure.
There had been
expanded parking too, so more people can use it.
Yeah, better parking, and there had been kind of a driveway through there that was cleaned up and removed.
Oh yeah, that's so much nicer.
Yeah, because that was a little dangerous. People could drive through the park while people are there playing ball. And then there's some barricades for noise and the trees and stuff. I mean, we have to think about the neighbors, right? It's a park, but there are neighbors. And so we have to be a good neighbor as well. And they say pickleball makes a little bit of noise.
A little bit. I've not had any complaints yet.
Yeah. So we wanted to be sensitive to that. And I think the design team took that into account as well.
Great. And if people are listening to this on Monday, we will officially be opening and holding a ribbon cutting ceremony on Tuesday, the 19th at 10 a.m. So if you are listening and interested in joining, please come out to Lincoln Park and join us for the ribbon cutting ceremony.
And we will have some speakers talking about the history, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Shannon Hudson at Crawfordsville Middle School, and I think Vicki Hudson Swisher are both going to talk.
Yes.
And they've done a lot of research on the history. So we just kind of skimmed the surface. They can go a little bit deeper.
They were super helpful too when we were looking at the design for our
Yes.
sign and confirming some of the information that we're representing.
And they're
Awesome.
also working to get one of the historic markers at the site too.
Okay,
So
great.
that'll be an addition that will come later.
Awesome. Well, I think we've already seen some of the positive, feedback for this park as well. But what other, community response have you seen with talking about the renovation of this park and, some of the new features and, honoring the history?
Aside from the people climbing the fences to play
Oh,
pickleball before
wow.
it's open.
The pickleball portion of the park was completed before the construction was done.
Okay.
So people had been hearing about it. Pickleball is obviously very popular.
It's
kind of a
serious.
craze. And we anticipated the park being completed a lot sooner than it was.
Yes.
We had some setbacks. So, it was literally so enticing that people were climbing the fence and cutting down barriers to get it there. So obviously it's something that people are interested in.
Right.
I think having it at that location makes it more accessible to beginners. You don't have to come at a certain time.
Right.
You don't have to pay any kind of fee. All you need is a paddle and a ball, and,
Yep.
and you can play. And it's easy to learn. It's easy. It's so much more accessible than like playing tennis
Mhm.
based on the size of the court and the equipment that you're using. So it's just something that people kind of get bitten by that pretty
Yeah.
quickly and then want to play. Some people want to play multiple times a day. Some people want to play every day, multiple times a day. So we know it will be well utilized. I think some people that have been playing inside at the community center for years didn't factor in some of the differences in playing outside with
Mhm.
wind, and the bounce is a little different on that surface and some of those factors. So it'll be interesting to see how the love of that sport and the popularity continues to grow now that we have these outdoor courts.
And I think it's really cool that Lincoln Park now will become more of a multi-generational park.
Mhm.
You have the younger kids that are physically able to play basketball there,
Right.
but also not all of the pickleball crowd, but some of them tend to be a little older than the basketball crowd. So it'll be cool. And also maybe provide a little bit of built-in supervision. It might be less likely to cause mischief there in the park if it's full all the time with adults too. So I think that'll be cool to see how that impacts users of the park.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think we'll hear more and more about the historical piece. I know I had some emails from people who were from out of town, or they're from here, but they live, in other communities, came back over the summer, and they can't wait to come back next summer when the park's done because they had gone to school there.
Oh, wow.
And so they want to come back and see how it's all done and plays out in the end. So
well, there was
I'm sure
a
we'll get-
reunion last year.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were hoping for that to be a stop on
Right.
their stroll,
Yeah.
but definitely next year
Yeah.
or the coming year.
Awesome. Well, there is, like we've said, so much happening for the Parks Department. And we've teased this before, but for people who maybe haven't listened to one of our general updates, we also have the Shorts Nature Park coming. And
We do.
That
Yeah.
one is going to be another very fun park with, some really cool features, and it's going to be unique.
Very similar to Brickyard, only more compact, so about half the size. But that's on the south side off State Road 32 and 47. We announced this, and then we haven't done much just because we have all these other projects. So here pretty soon we'll be taking off with this project and making it happen, and that's going to be super exciting as well.
Yeah. Feature some puzzle-esque types
Yeah,
of things.
well, Will Shorts wants to have a puzzle theme,
Yeah.
and he's agreed to design that puzzle theme. And if anybody in this world can design that, it's him.
Yes.
So we're really excited about that park, and stay tuned. We're going to get started with design here pretty soon. We already have some ideas in mind. Will has some ideas in mind, and so we're going to turn that into reality. Can you imagine a city our size with the Brickyard on the north side and Shorts
Right.
on the south side, and we have Sugar Creek Nature Park, we don't talk about much, right along the creek, and then all the other parks. It's crazy. It's awesome. It's all about quality of life, quality of place.
It is. Just like we always say, there's a ton to do here.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just have to maybe find it. It's not always going to be handed directly to you, but there is so much to do right in our community. And Fawn, before we end, do you want to give a little highlight about your upcoming event with the Pie Run?
Sure. One of our big events that we have each year is the Thanksgiving Day Sugar Creek Trail Pie Run. It's a mouthful. Thanksgiving morning, it's a 5K run, 2-mile walk or run, and a short 200-yard kids run. So this has kind of become a tradition for a lot of families in our community that this is what they're doing on Thanksgiving morning, burning a few calories before they sit down for a big meal with their family. And that starts at 9 a.m. On-site registration will begin at 8 a.m. You can sign up in our office or online anytime leading up to the event. It's $30 per person. That includes a long sleeve t-shirt. And we do give cash prizes if you're fast. The top 3 men and women receive a cash prize. So
And some pie prizes, right?
yes, randomly. That's where it got its name, the pie run. So randomly, people as they cross the finish line could be awarded a pie.
Yes. So even if you're not fast, you could still win something.
You can win. Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that any of you'd like to add? I know, we have a ton going on, and I'm sure we'll continue to get questions about these parks, and we can continue to highlight them in, our social media and in different podcasts as well. But is there anything else you'd all like to add?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one brand new park and one newly renovated park to enjoy, but 2 great parks recently completed in our community. And I look forward to seeing everybody using these parks, posting about them on social media, doing the Google reviews. That was a surprise, and just hearing how positively they're being used.
Yeah, if you can do those reviews, that does help because people will look at that.
And they can find it and bring in some visitors. And it is all about that quality of life and highlighting what we have to offer here in our community.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, as always, if there are podcast topics or things that you would like to hear about, please reach out and let us know. We want to make sure that we are sharing information that people are wanting to hear about. And don't forget to check out Yodel, our community calendar, where you can find out where all things are happening right here in our community. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on this podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you aren't already, follow us on Facebook at City of Crawfordsville Official, on Twitter at City of Seaville, and on Instagram at City of Crawfordsville. We hope you have a wonderful day and can't wait for you to join us next week.